But we're not the only ones who are outraged. Award-winning actor and host of TBN's Takeaways, Kirk Cameron, who you probably know as Mike Seaver from the classic sitcom Growing Pains, he's diving into the adventures of dynamic American families on a mission to put fun and faith back into learning with his new film, The Homeschool Awakening. It's in theaters nationwide on June 13th and June 14th. Let's turn now to Kirk Cameron himself. He's the executive producer of The Homeschool Awakening. Kirk, we're so glad to have you on the show. Thank you for being here.
Jen, Mercedes, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be with you guys. And great to be talking about this subject. It's so needed.
Well, you haven't held back talking about today's education crisis. You said that public education has become public enemy #1. Tell us what people who maybe don't have kids in school should know about the threat that this poses to our society.
Oh, wow. Well, it's even worse than that. It's so sad to see what's going on in public education and the poison that's being pumped into the minds and the hearts of our kids. They seem to be doing more for grooming children towards sexual chaos and leftist politics than they are actually educating them about things that will lead to human flourishing, things that are good and beautiful and true. And what really brought this to light for so many millions of parents was the pandemic shutdowns. So when schools closed, particularly in California, we had churches closed, school closed, businesses closed. Kids came home and parents got a front row seat and saw a little peek behind the curtain as to what they were teaching their children. And they were horrified. And they said, no, even when the schools got back into session, they said, we are keeping our kids out because we had no idea that there were actually rotting the minds and souls of our children, and we need to find a better option. And they have.
Well, I got to tell you, Kirk, I related to the parents in the trailers, the ones that said they never thought they would homeschool. In fact, I joke around with my 5 kids and said, if I would homeschool you, the one thing you would learn to do is write a press release and learn everything about American history and conservative politics. I don't think they would have gone too far with science and math in my school. But let me ask you this. There is a lot of negative stereotypes around homeschooling. You all made a decision as a family to homeschool your 6 kids. What are some of these stereotypes that might surprise people? And how do you combat that and basically say, look, schooling children is a very healthy way for children to learn in our society?
Well, first of all, let me say, Mercedes, that I can't think of anyone who would be more passionate about teaching your children about American history and about conservative politics and the things that lead to their success than you. Why? Because you are their mom, and nobody loves them like you do, and no one knows your children like you do. And that's the same for me and my kids and millions of parents and their children. Now, I had a healthy skepticism toward homeschooling, and our kids actually went to a great little private school up to 6th grade. We didn't like the options after that. And I thought you had to be a Quaker to homeschool your kids. Like you needed a head covering and you had to churn your own butter. And then I realized that's not it. My wife can still wear stilettos and be part of a community of families who are actually thrilled about passing on their faith, their moral values, and their love for America and the principles that led to the freest, strongest, most blessed nation in the world onto their kids, unhindered in a schedule that is flexible enough to move and groove with their family, whether they're urban or suburban or rural, whether they're a family that travels, and they can cater to their kids' strengths. Maybe they've got incredible gifts in music. Some of them are academically gifted. Some of them may have special needs. And there is phenomenal curriculums, phenomenal communities, and it is turning out the most character-filled individuals, flourishing families, and reinforcing the principles that led to America being the greatest nation on earth. And colleges are thrilled to get homeschool students because they're out-of-the-box thinkers. And if their parents are all in, these children just often soar and far surpass their peers in the real world.
Well, Kirk, I got to tell you, I'm not a parent, but I meet more and more parents now. I'm so shocked at how many are homeschooling their kids. We had a congressional candidate on the show last night from Loudoun County, Virginia, which was ground zero for some of what's been going on in our public schools. Parents obviously sick and tired of it. It changed the race in the gubernatorial election in Virginia back in November. What do you make of this woke agenda that kids are learning in school today?
Well, listen, school is ultimately about shaping the hearts and minds of the next generation. Whoever controls the textbooks controls the future. World leaders all throughout history have said this, and you can control the future for evil or for good, depending on what you teach little kids. And so, parents, if you feel that God gave your children to you, that they are entrusted to you, not the federal government, there is hope for you, and there are options, and there are wonderful, exciting of people, and there are so many different methods and curriculums. You can find the ones that work for you. Don't let Marxists, socialists, communists, don't let those who want to turn your children into little revolutionaries and fundamentally change America have them. They are yours, and it is a sacred responsibility that we in the family and we in the family of faith need to take seriously, and we need to get back into the driver's seat here and not let them run away with our children.
Well, Kirk Cameron, we thank you for using your platform for so much good. Thank you for joining the show tonight. And of course, folks, the Homeschool Awakening, be sure to check it out in theaters nationwide, June 13th and 14th. Kirk, thank you again.
Great to talk to you both.